In our final trade of the day, a look at seasonal commodities trades. Joining us now, Jack Scoville, a price futures group from CME Group.
Seasonally, it's a time of year when you start to see corn and soybeans peak out and start to head lower. However, really the seasonals aren't working too well in the grain markets this year. We have had some highly variable crop weather this year, and so you're starting to see prices actually that are rather comparatively cheap start to find their footing and maybe even start to work higher on ideas of reduced production. Cattle markets, another market with a strong seasonal tendency this time to rally at this time of year, actually had a very bad day today, so it could actually be starting to turn the trends down. Hogs, on the other hand, have been stronger and appear to be on a seasonal move higher. So seasonally, trends are the markets are a little bit contra-seasonal. A lot of markets also paying attention to the U.S. dollar as it affects the pricing of physical commodities, and that has provided some support to some of the other markets, such as the coffee and sugar and cocoa markets, as well as to the grains and somewhat to the livestock.
Jack, what weather factors are traders watching?
We're watching a whole variety of weather factors here. Primarily, we're watching the rains here in the Midwest. Weather forecasts for the next week to 10 days look to be pretty dry, and a lot of these crops could really use a good shot of rain.
What's a trade that you will be putting on today?
I've actually been talking to my customers about buying some corn and some soybeans in through here. Once again, when you look at the daily charts and the weekly charts, prices are relatively cheap for both, and especially for corn. Since prices are relatively cheap, the demand seems to be holding up pretty well. And that leads me to think the prices will probably start to recover, or at least the downside risk is fairly minimal. Wheat's another market that's worth looking at right in through here. Seasonally, wheat does rally at this time of year, and it should be a great seasonal trade this year, as our export demand has been stronger than anticipated and looks to stay that way.
Thank you, Jack, for coming on our show.